We are now in my third employment trucking industry with Balkan Express. That is the check date January 15th. I quit Kelly Transport on December 16th. That is a month later of income. And that is how much money I made. The style here is different. This is the money I made in that week. The details will come later. The FICA deduction is 51. The Medicare Medicaid is $12 something, and the federal withdrawal is 98 something. They make a problem here. They don't take any tax deduction. It's a big problem, and that is the year to date so far. That is the deduction for that period. How do you break it down? On trip on January 5th from Pueblo, Colorado to Twin Falls, Idaho. That is how many miles empty, and that is the rate. And from Twin Falls to Grand Prairie, Texas. Grand Prairie, Texas. That is how many miles I made loaded, and that is the rate. So the net, of course, you have to drive that far empty to get that far loaded. This is the business of transportation. Very bizarre, and that is how you break it down money-wise. That is the empty load, $285.76. That is the loaded, and that is the total amount to pay for that week. The Balkan Express wants you to file a trip sheet. See what trailer you have, what tractor you have, how much is the weight of the cargo, when did you start the trip, when did you deliver it, from what city, Twin Falls to Grand Prairie. That is about 4 days of travel. Empty miles from Pueblo to Twin Falls, and that is how much money I paid for the scale, and this is the parts I bought for the truck. And here you write your where did you fuel, the odometer meter, the city, Green River and Springville, Utah. You used a card. This is how many gallons you added, and that is the total money you paid. A lot of work when you work for a small company. We now move to the next period. The date was January 22nd, 2016. That is how much money I made on that week. That is the total year to date. Those are the deduction, FICA, Medicare, Medicaid, federal deduction, and no tax deduction for the state. And that is a year to date deduction. The details of the trip, that is the day of my employment. Some miscellaneous description for in January. That is a diesel trip. And we have a scale here. On the 8th, I have another scale. On the 8th, I have Grand Prairie snow chain. 12, I have a scale. On the 13th, something which I don't know what it is. On the 15th, I have something else. Most probably that is the payment. Yes, that is the payment. That is the payment per mile here, and that is the payment per mile here. And that is the payment also, and that seems to be something else. That looks like a scale, that's scale, that is something else, that is compensation for fuel. You can go back on that date, that's how much money was paid. That looks like, that is the pay amount, that's how much I got paid. And that is, those are the miles, loaded and the empty miles. And those are other expenses. Scale, something else, treatment, miscellaneous, chains, that is something for the chains. The trip sheet for that period, the trailer number, tractor number, how much weight you have. Always heavy weight. The city were Fort Worth, Texas, Salt Lake City, and that is the trailer supplies, that is the scale, and that is the fueling, how many gallons we added, and how much money we spend on the fuel. That is where Lemon, Colorado, and Clayton, New Mexico. At Clayton, I have to get a permission to fuel at Clayton from Love's truck stop. Another card for the same trip from Twin Falls, Idaho to Fort Worth. They want you to write a trip card for every move. Dropped in yard, that is the date of pickup, that is the date of delivery, and that is the weights, and that is the scale, and here is where we fueled, and those are the city where I fueled at. You can look at interesting city. Tucamaca, New Mexico, Green River, Utah, Twin Falls, Idaho, and those are the dates. Check of January 29th, that is how much money I made, that is a year to date, and that is a deduction for the FICA, the Medicare, the federal withdrawal, and no state withdrawal. The company stick that to you. Those are the details on January 16. That is the trip number from Balkan Terminal container to Cabell, Texas. That's a short distance. From on the 20th from Cabell, Texas to Bellevue, Washington. That is a long trip. I think that trip I was running illegal. The company just wants you to run to fly. How fast I got there? From Cabell on the 20th, I delivered it on the 21st. Let us see how that is on the from the 16th I delivered on the 20th, from Belleville to Tacoma, Washington. That was the load that nobody wanted us to take, and they wanted me to make here that much money on the long distance, and on the inside the town, inside Washington. That's what bothered me. You get paid zero money. It's zero money. Where because you're driving inside Washington from Bellevue, Washington to Tacoma, Washington. Because in the same zip code, you're supposed to get paid that much money, but they make it a zip code trick, and they screw you up badly. You get zero money, and I kept remembering this kind of illegal activities, and that is zero, and that is zero, because you are driving inside the city. And when you talk to the people on the phone, they are blatantly telling you what they are doing, which is illegal. You're driving here from Balkan home to Cabell, Texas, about under 50 miles, and you're driving in Tacoma, Bellevue, Tacoma, under 50 miles. How much you get? That's 100 miles almost, 80 miles. Very heavy traffic. How much you get? You get screwed up. You get zero here, and you get zero here. And they ask you to write the trailer number, the weight of the cargo. That was a light cargo. From Cabell to Bellevue, and that is the parts of the truck we filled up in Amarillo. Now we go to the February 5th check. That is how much money I made, and that is the year to date, and those are the deduction. The FICA, the Medicare, Medicaid, tax withdrawal, and no state. How do you break it down? On the 25th from Tacoma to Salt Lake. That is how many miles I drove, and that is the rate. From Salt Lake to Salt Lake, you are going to be screwed up badly. They are going to give you zero here, and you move it inside the city. From Salt Lake to Plano, Texas, that is the miles. From Plano, Texas, Tuesday morning, you are going to be screwed up here, because they are not going to pay you when you move from Texas inside the zip code. Tuesday morning is the name of the company. That is inside Plano, Texas. And that is from Salt Lake, you move to Salt Lake, to the same city, the same location, getting paid nothing. Illegal, you get away with it, you get no money here, you got no money here. If you want to go to the court, good luck. You take it to the labor department, they send you a letter back, they ask you to go to court, because you know when you go to court you are going to lose. Why? Because the courts don't stand on the side of poor people. You have no money, you have no good lawyers, they play with the words. This is not an opinion, this is a trial. I did go to court, I took him to court, and I lost. You always lose when you go to court. This is a trip sheet for that trip. This is picked up on that date, delivered on that date from Washington 5 Washington to Salt. We did not fuel, we have no part. Another part of the trip. This is the weight. This is Plano, Texas. We did not fuel, we have no parts. Let's go to February 12, 2000. This is how much money I made. This is the year to date. This is the FICA, Medicare, Medicaid, federal, no state tax. Details here on February 1st from Tuesday morning to Beaverton, Oregon. This is how many miles I drove loaded. From Beaverton, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. This is how much mile I drove loaded. From Seattle to Federal Way, Washington. This is a small trip. From Federal Way, Washington, Silverdale, Washington. This is another small distance. The third bid to pick up. This is, I have to fight for that. To pick up a drop from the same city. How much we are going to see in a minute. For 5. They bid you for the miles. For the miles, they bid you here 25, 25, 25 to pick up a load from inside city. Okay, they did good now. They did good in that trip. In Silverdale, I think they made a mistake because they bid for that distance and you're not, this is not the way they do it. But let us see, they paid little money here on the city, inside the city. They paid little money. But in the future, they are going to correct that and they are going to cheat me on moving inside. The owner seemed to have screamed on the payroll people. He's Yugoslav from Serbia. He's very slick on cheating drivers. This is the card. This is how much load. You cannot read here a lot. Now we are in February. That is, I think, 19th. That is how much money I made. That is the year to date. And that is the deduction. How did it work? From Sumner, Washington to Salt Lake. This is how many miles I drove. From Salt Lake to Salt Lake, I drove 13 miles. Let me see if they are going to pay me now. From Salt Lake, Corvallis, Oregon. This is a long distance drive from Corvallis to Medford, Oregon. Another 280 miles. Bid to drop and pick. Okay, they did very good if they did that. From Medford to Bend. This is how much Bend, Oregon. Bid to pick up from Bend, Oregon to Portland, Oregon. This is how much distance. They seem to have stuck to it. So they bid 25 for a pickup, another 25. Those are for pickups. And this is for miles. And this is for a short distance. Okay, they did so good so far. That is too many cards here. That is from Sumner to Salt Lake. And that is the weight of, that is how much gallons we added from Ontario and Tumwater, Washington. Second trip card, that is how much weight from 2 pickups in Salt Lake City. From 1 malt meal and second transfer. That's 2 pickup and 3 orders. February 26. That is how much I made. That is the year to date. That's the deduction, and there is no state withdrawal. That is the detail of the trip. February 15th, from Portland to Brighton, Colorado. That is a move trees to Brighton, Colorado. From Brighton to Avon, Colorado. That I was moving trees over the mount, over I-70, I-84, from Avon to Salt Lake on that date, Salt Lake to Colorado Springs on that date. And that is how many miles. Let's see how much they seem to have paid for every one of them, except that last one. What is the last? No, they paid for each one of them. That's for every mile they paid for. That is a trip card, trailer number, from Portland, Oregon to Brighton, Colorado. Another trip number or a trip card from Avon, Colorado to Salt Lake. That is the pickup and that is the delivery date. Let me go back again to that long trip. That was picked up from Portland on February 12 in the snow and was delivered on February 15th to Brighton in heavy snow. This is mountain driving, remember. In February, speaking from Oregon to Colorado, you are driving over the mountains of Oregon and the mountains in March 4th, and that is how much I made. And that is the year to date, and that is the deduction, and there is no state withdrawal. Seems like they paid back some for January 17, they paid something, they paid a fax, they paid the washer fluid, they paid another fax, they paid a tie down, they paid miscellaneous, layover. How much do you think they pay for layover? Layover in Colorado. They pay $80 for layover? I don't think so. Yeah, it seems like they paid $80. Colorado Springs to Balkan, that is how many miles? From Balkan to Here's you are doing here from Balkan to Tuesday inside the city. You are not going to pay anything. You are going to make it zero. This is where the cheating happens. From Tuesday morning to Seguin, Texas, this is how much money, how much miles you take. From Seguin, Texas to Corpus Christi, Texas, that's way south. Corpus Christi, Texas, McLean, Texas, or McLean, Texas, that's how many miles. Trying now to see how much did they pay for the layover. This amount of money here, that is 800 something. This is what they paid for the miles. This is your miles. So they did pay over $80, much better than Balkan, KTS or Swift. KTS will pay you $50, very cheap. Here they did not pay you for the local stuff, driving locally from Tuesday morning, right here. They did not pay you for that. This is not a pay. Look at carefully here. There is a missing pay here because it was local inside Texas. This is no pay activity. Those are the payment for other expenses. That is a trip sheet for that trip. February 21st to 23rd from Colorado Springs to Fort Worth. And that is supplies, truck supplies. I forgot what is that. What truck supplies I have to pay to do that. I think that was straps. So I asked him, could you consider layover days? That is a request, because I spend some time. Does not mean they are going to read or care about it. Many times they ignore it. That is the other trip, that is the weight from to Corpus Christi, from Farmers Branch, Texas to Corpus Christi, all the way south on the Gulf of Mexico. Now we are in March 11th. That is how much money I made. That is how much deduction. That is a year to date. How do you break it down? February 29th from McAllen, Texas to Lehigh, Utah. That is a distance. From Lehigh, Utah to Richmond, Utah, and that is the distance from Richmond, Utah to Sanger, Texas, and that is the distance from Sanger to Balkan home, and that is the from Balkan home to Tuesday, and you are not going to get paid. You are moving inside this. Why do they do it here? They don't do it somewhere else. I have no idea. But when they know how to make confusion, they can get away with anything. So when you don't get paid here, there is zero money here. Why is that zero money? Yeah, zero because you are moving inside. Okay, the trip card from McAllen to Lehigh, that is the weight. That's the trip card from Richmond, Utah to Sanger, and that is the weight. Now let us go to March 20th. That is how much money we need, and that is the total year to date. That is the deduction from Dallas to Salt Lake. That is how far the distance is. From Salt Lake to Hammer, Idaho. That is how far it is. So that seems to be why, because the dates are far apart. And that's how much money we need on that trip sheet. The trip, that's the beginning, the end from Fort Worth to Salt Lake. Now we jump it into March 22nd. Let us see. This is how much money we need. This is the deduction. And here are the details of the work. Toll, Kansas toll. I think that's Kansas toll. From Cape Girardeau, Missouri. This is the city where Rush Limbaugh was born. Cape Girardeau. To Basin, Utah. From Basin, Utah to Bonanza. That is a fantastic trip. Bonanza is a place in Utah where there is only one resident on that. They work on graphite mining and they produce the ink, the black ink. It was a trip in memory. We'll never forget going to Bonanza, Utah. Try to figure out anything on the map, nothing on the map. So when I called the customer, there was a lady, she told me we are the only residents in Bonanza. And that is how much money we made on that. On March 25th, there was a scale, miscellaneous scale, St. Louis, Missouri to Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That is a short distance. That is the pickup date, the delivery date. From Cape Girardeau to base. Let us now go to May 5th. That is how much money I made. That is the total year to date. That is the deduction, and there are no states. Those are the details of the trip. April 17th, there are some lights, something, I fix a light or something. Serena's Bonanza trip, Bonanza, Utah to Dallas, delivering barrels of black ink. From Dallas to Balkan, you get nothing here if you look at carefully. From Dallas, Texas to Balkan, which is the Fort Worth, you get zero money. Balkan home terminal to Salt Lake, that is how much, how many miles. From Salt Lake to Logan, that's how many miles. Then you have a scale, you have a wash-up fluid. From Logan to Albuquerque, that's how many miles. I remember this trip when I was at Logan. Jose called me. He tried to be smart. He said, you are in the wrong place. Why did you go there? Look at the map. He reads the city. It doesn't say Logan. It is a small city next to it. He said, he thought that I am fooling around with the truck. Jose was a disaster. I told him, man, you're looking in the map. There are too many small cities next to each other. It doesn't have to say Logan on the map, on Google. But I am in Logan. But that was the last time Jose was messing with me. Jose was a disaster. He was an illiterate, simple man who who thinks that everybody has to be mistrusted. That is how much money we made. That is the weight. That is the trip sheet. Here is when we started from Bonanza. I will never forget Bonanza. I will never forget Bonanza to Dallas. I think I have a video for it. That was a trip like in a movie, a fiction movie. I asked the lady in Bonanza, where did you come from? She said she lived 30 miles in Colorado. You have to cross the border. I said, what happens if your car breaks down? I said, that is life. She was the only employee in the company, in the office, That poor woman have to drive an old car between Colorado and Utah to work in a mining factory. Looks very ugly, and she has about two workers in the, or three or five people inside the mining facility that do the black ink, and the place looks very weird. You like a scary movie, fiction movie in Bonanza, Texas, and I will publish the video for that facility. Now we are in Fort Worth to Murray, Utah. That is a trip, that is the load. And as you see, I'm getting complacent here. I'm not adding fuel stuff or the prices because nobody cares about it. In the beginning, you follow all the instruction, but you discover that the instruction doesn't matter. Now we are in May, and that is how much money I made. That is the total year to date. There's a lot of deduction here because the money was big and there is no state deduction. Now let us go through the details. April 26, Albuquerque to Dallas. That is how many miles? Parking, did I pay for parking? Let me see how much money they paid. Yeah, they paid for parking, $16. From Dallas to Buda, Texas. Then paid to pick up, drop. From Buda, Texas to Houston, Texas, that's how many miles? From Houston, Texas to Cyprus, that is 0 miles, 0 pay. So they pay you something here for parking and they take it away from you here. From Cyprus, Texas to Fort Worth, that's the distance. From Fort Worth, they another screw up. Look at something here, going to see. They dropped now to 36. That is because I have an accident. Made a deal with me to drop the rate from 38 to 36 cents per mile, so they can make up for the broken fender that was $800 damage. They claimed it is $800. They replaced it, but they dropped my rates from 38 to 36. After I paid the 800, they did not want to get me back to the 38, so I quit. Go through that from Cyprus, Fort Worth, Balkan, from Balkan to Grantsville, Utah. That is how much, that's where I work now. Grantsville to Ogden, from Ogden to Emporia, Kansas. That's a long distance. Emporia to Ogden again, back to the same. Let's see how much money we made for all. For the pickup, they paid $20, $20. What happened to the $25? Because $25 when you are new, after they get used to you, they start cheat. You get paid zero money here, you get paid zero money here. That is zero. That is zero because you work like this. So the cheating happens here, the cheating happens here, the cheating happens here, and here. From Emporia to Emporia, inside the city here, they don't pay. It is zero. It's a trip sheet from Logan to Houston, and those are the parts. And there is, I did not pay the toll here, I ran the toll. I said toll unpaid, because I did not have money, I think. Or something happened. I wasn't here from Cyprus, Texas to Fort Worth, here from Fort Worth to Grantsville, Utah, a lot of shit. Here from Ogden, Emporia, Kansas. Here from Emporia, Kansas, to Ogden again. We are in June now. We are in June. This is how much money I made in these 2 weeks. We are in 2 weeks period now. Remember that. And that is how much deduction in 2 weeks. And there is no state deduction. There is no state. As you see now, we are in 36 cents per mile. Right now, I make 89 cents per mile. Remember, when you make 36 cents per mile, you make $30,000, $36,000 a year. Remember this formula. Every cent here would be $1,000 a year. When you right now I make 89 cents per mile. That is cents per mile. I grew up from 36 to 39. So now I can make minimum 89,000 a year. I make more than that. But that is how quick can you figure out the number in the truck. We have a scale, we have a washer, we have motor oil, we have a scale, we have Ogden to Logan, Logan to Houston, Houston to Katy, Texas. At Katy, Texas, you don't get paid. From Katy, Texas to Salt Lake, from Salt Lake to Clearfield, you don't get paid here. You don't get paid here. From Port Walton to Balkan, you don't get paid. From Balkan to Salt Lake. Let us see how much money you get paid and how much you don't get paid here, you don't get paid here, you don't get paid here. This is cheating, cheating, and cheating. This is from Logan to Houston, Texas, Katy to Salt Lake trip. This is from Clearfield to Fort Worth, from Fort Worth to Salt Lake trip. Not very close, but we are in June still. How much money I made in these 2 weeks? This is the total year to date. It's a very good amount, much better than Kelly Transport. This is a deduction with no state. These are the details of the work. May 26th from Salt Lake to Ogden. Salt Lake to Ogden, and you make zero. Salt Lake to Ogden is 60 miles. From Ogden to Ravenswood, that's how many miles? From Ravenswood to Millwood, you make zero, because you are in Washington. You are in the neighborhood. From Millwood to Madison, that's how much you make, how many miles? From Madison to Hazel, you make, that is the miles. From Hazel Green to Brenham, Texas, that's how many miles? From Brenham to Katy, that is how many. You get it cheated here, you get it cheated here. Yes, you get cheated when, imagine you move from Salt Lake to Ogden and you don't get paid. You move from, this is West Virginia. West Virginia. You move because you are in the same zip code, you don't get. That is enormous traffic from Salt Lake to Ogden. From Raven to Millwood, that's a lot of, that is a trip from Ogden to Ravenwood, Ogden, Utah, to Ravenwood, from Millwood, West Virginia, to Madison, Wisconsin, to Bucco, Illinois, to Brenham, Texas. I remember this trip, delivering container like cups, empty cup. June 30th, that's how much money I made, that's year to date, that's the deduction, there is no city deduction. Detail of the work, from Katy, Texas, to Matthews, North Carolina, that's the distance. From Matthew to Claremont, that's the distance. North Carolina. From Claremont to Fort Wayne, Indiana, that's the distance. From Fort Wayne to New Carlisle, from New Carlisle to Grand Prairie, that's the distance. From Grand Prairie, Texas to Container Store, Cabell, Texas. You get screwed here, don't get paid here. From Container Store, Cabell, Texas to Littleton, Colorado, that is the distance. From Littleton, Colorado to Fort Morgan, Colorado, you get screwed here. No, you get paid here. From Fort Morgan, Colorado to Fort Morgan, Colorado, here, and you don't get paid here because of a local delivery. This is a company made rules to commit a fraud without getting caught. Because if you go to courts, wasting too much time and nobody wants to listen to you. This is a trip sheet for Katy, Texas to Matthews, and I said here 3.5 hours loading, 3.5 hours of unloading. Consider additional hours. I'm asking them to pay me for the extra service, which they did not pay. Here from Claremont, North Carolina to Fort Wayne, Indiana. From New Carlisle to Grand Prairie, Cabell, Texas to Denver, Colorado, July 14th. This is how much money I made. This is the year to date. This is the deduction, no state deduction. Those are the details of the work. Scale, toll, envelope. I bought envelope and the scale. Fort Morgan to Salt Lake, that's the distance. Ogden, Texas, Balkan terminal, that's the distance. Salt Lake to Ogden, zero money. That is a very serious violation. This is a 60-mile trip from Balkan, Texas to Salt Lake, that's the distance. Here is another violation. They don't pay you for a local trip. From Salt Lake, this is a miles from Salt Lake to here they said something paid by miles. By miles. Got what? Paid to pick up from what? Here's where I start getting angry. Inside Washington, from Kent to Kent, from Kent to Auburn, from Auburn to Kent, those are they consider that a distance, a short distance. It's supposed to pay you more here, but they pay you 36 cents. They are moving inside a very heavy traffic in the city. In Washington, this is an industrial area in Kent. Look at, you don't get paid here, you don't get paid here. And inside the city, moving inside the city, getting all these small numbers. So how much money did they pay me for a drop pickup? Where is the drop? Now they pay you $20 for a drop pickup. What happened to 25 when I was new? Denver to Salt Lake, trip sheet from Ogden to Fort Worth, Texas, trip sheet from Fort Worth, Springfield to Kent, spreadsheet from Kent to Kent. That's where they don't pay you. Now go to a week before I quit. That is right 28. That's how much money I made. That's the deduction, a lot of deduction, and there is no state withdrawal. They have the details of the trip, fax, pay $2. From Kent to Cabell, 2,000 miles. From Cabell to Dallas, zero. Pay you nothing. From Dallas to Salt Lake, that's how much. From Salt Lake to Ogden, zero. That's the cheating. From Green River, Wyoming to Balkan, that is how many miles. Green River, Wyoming, they have a mining facility. From Balkan Terminal to Sheep Brook, Texas, that's how many miles. From Sheep Brook to La Porte, zero. That's a very heavy area. So where do you get cheated? You get it cheated here. You get it cheated here. This is a trip from Kent to Cabell, Kent, Washington to Cabell, Texas. This is a trip from Fort Worth, Texas to Salt Lake City. That is August 11th. That's how much money I made. That's total year to date. That is the deduction. These are the details of the trip, La Porte, Texas to Salt Lake. That's the miles. Salt Lake, you get it cheated. Salt Lake to Houston, that's the miles. Houston to Baytown, you get it cheated. From Baytown to Salt Lake, that is a mile. From Salt Lake to Springfield, that is how 0.9 miles. From Springfield, look at that. From Salt Lake to Springfield, Utah, 0.9 miles. That's almost 40 miles. 40 miles, they pay you $32, 32 cents. They pay you 32 cents to drive from downtown Salt Lake to Springfield, and they cheated you here and they cheated you here. That is a lot of money of cheating. And that is a trip sheet from La Porte, Texas to Salt Lake. I talked to the Labor Department, the Federal Labor Department, and they sent me the file back. They said go to court because they have shortage of employees. And that was during the COVID, the Corona epidemic, from Salt Lake to Houston. They sent me everything. It took them a year to send things back. If you go to court, you have to pay minimum about $600 to file the papers, and you have to wait, and you are going to waste a lot of when you are. Nobody's going to protect you when you are naive, or when you are this from Dayton, Texas to Salt Lake. That is, yes, I quit on that month, on that period. That's how much money I made. That is year to date. That is a deduction. The scale Springfield, Utah to Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas to San Antonio. San Antonio to Austin. Austin to Salt Lake. Salt Lake to Orem, Utah. Paid to pick up. From Orem, Utah to Grantsville. From Grantsville to Balkan. And here where I quit. That was the date when I left the truck and I told them I am going back home. Somebody is sick in my family, and I am going to come back to you guys because if you don't do that, they are going to cheat you in the last check. If they cheat you, you will have to file for the labor department and you might not succeed. That is the spreadsheet from Austin to Orem, and that is a spreadsheet from Grantsville to Texas Yard, from Springfield to Austin. This is where I quit my job. I mentioned to them first, I said here, on short runs, the driver must get paid above base rate. If 36 cents was base rate, a short run consumes more time. I complained here that you are paying me from in Kent, in Auburn, in Washington State. This is the money they paid. Very little money. That was number two for the reason I quit. Number one was, this was number one. I made two pickups and one delivery on short runs in the towns of Kent and Auburn, Washington. Should get paid $60, not $20. Paid me only $20. And this little money. Of course, they cheated me on everything else before for a long time. But working in trucking, everybody's going. This is the last explanation. Please check with Daniel. Daniel was a nice guy who was from Yugoslavia. He's the one who hired me. He was a very intelligent person. Every time I called to find him, he said he's on vacation. But it seems like he came to America with a lot of education. He cannot find a job. So he worked with his friend as a manager in the transportation of Balkan. He cannot get a lot of money, enough money. He cannot get the green card. So he disappears, go back to Yugoslavia. He cannot find him anymore. Please check with Daniel on his reasons for keeping my pay base at 36 cents per mile after 6 months of employment. My base pay should have been raising over 40. I was fighting to get it from 36 to 42. And when it did not work, I have to quit. Here is how much money I made with Balkan in these about 8 months of employment. That is the total money, 26,000, and that is the federal income withdrawal, 3,000, the social, 1,600. Remember here, they don't put the state, they don't take money from the state, for the state. That will get you in deep trouble. Medicare, Medicaid, social, dependent, security. Some money here is missing. Or the state. Yes, the state is zero. I did not pay attention to that, so I get fined $2,500. Let me show you another problem. Here is I-9. This is I-90 in Washington, east to Seattle. And this guy come from PA. Let me magnify the picture. This is a TA guy, poor guy. This is a young man come to fix my truck. This is my truck right here. And I was sitting on the side of the road. Friday, Saturday, I did not move until Sunday morning because the company does not want to send you a tow truck because it's a cheap company. The guy is from the Balkan. He's a Yugoslav, very cheap. Here is a guy from PA came to fix, to read the. Of course, this guy is not going to fix anything. Balkan is notorious in engaging in cheap, unprofessional OTR road service, which exposes its driver to extreme risk without proper compensation. Sit on the side of the road for 3 days, no tow truck. They ask you cannot leave the truck, so you go between the tree to the bathroom. If you have no food, you have. At that time, I did not use Uber. There was no money to use Uber or taxi or anything. I should have left the truck and run away. I did not. And my sister was with me on that notorious day. uh, when the TA guy cannot fix it. So they send the Loves. Loves is worse. He said you take it to the dealer. So they hired another local guy. The guy told them, I cannot fix the truck, but I can try. But you have to pay me $500. He said, no problem. When the guy came to me, I was already, after 2 days, I was frustrated. I was able to get the, the fault, the regeneration, the smoke was too much, the smoke was too much, the filter was clogged. After 3 times of regeneration, I was able to regenerate. I was able to get the engine to climb that hill. To climb that hill over the Squalami path, I think that's I-90 east from Seattle. So the guy didn't do anything. So I gave him the check for $500. He said, no, it's supposed to be $560. I said, why? He said, that is the agreement. He called back Balkan. They said, they told him, well, you said 500. He said, but 500 and taxes, plus taxes. So they wrote him another check for 500 for $60. That's the other guy. He was very slick. He did not do anything. But that was the agreement. So as soon as I got over the hill, when I got to Idaho Falls, I was able to drive. No, Twin Falls, Idaho. I was able to drive from Washington, Oregon to Idaho. When I got there, I was able to get the other fault. The fault was the filter. The fuel filter was plugged. I went to Flying J at Idaho. Twin Idaho, I asked the lady, do you have filters? She said, it's $12. I said, how much do you charge me to install it? She said, $26. How much do you charge me to install 2 filters? She said, $75. I said, do it. So I need authorization. So take my authorization. I don't care about the car. She installed the 2 filters and the truck was running like a horse. When we came back to the Balkan, the shop of the mechanic, he said, you are not supposed to take the truck to Flying J. You're supposed to take it to the dealer. I told him, you left me on the road for 2 days. I should have abandoned the truck. Now we populated the cells for Excel sheet for Balkan Express, like Swift and Kelly Transport. And as you can see, we started the first check on January 15th, 2016, and the last check on August 25th, 2016. And the checks here, those are not weeks. These are, some of them are weekly, look at the check, that is weekly, 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 weekly. No, that is not, so if you wanted to see how many weeks we work, you can figure out from the number, but we have the dates. We're going to plot the numbers. First, I needed to get the gross pay. To make a sum here, as usual, we're going to write here sum. And you click on that cell. If you don't understand, so I'm going to click on that cell. And I'm going to go to the function line. And here you put equal. And you put the word sum. Or you get it from the function sheet. And you put the 2 parentheses. And you put the column and the row, and the column and the row. Follow me, you are going to see what I'm going to do. I click on that cell, I go to the functions sheet, the function line, equal what? From here to here. It will give you from the column B, number 2, row number 2, to column B, row number 21, but I need to sum that. 21. Okay, that is the total money I made on, let me make that bold, and I'm going also to color the cells so they look different. How different? Let me use this color. This is how much money I made with Balkan, the gross pay from January, the beginning of January to the middle of August. The middle of August means that is almost 7 months and 2 weeks. 7 months, that is 28 weeks, that is 30 weeks almost. This is how much money I made on that bill. Then you click on this cell and you drag it to give you the sum on everyone, but you don't need the sum on the gross pay. You don't need this. This is how much they do not take the state taxes. They take the federal withdrawal, the social security, and the Medicaid and the Medicare. Now I need to get the percentage of the taxes that they took from me. So you come at this cell, and you go to the line, and you say equal, and you put the cell that you wanted to divide by, and you divide it by what you divide by the total income that you have, 2239. That is the percentage of the money that's taken by the federal government. Stretch it, and that is the percentage of the money that's taken by the Social Security, and that's the percentage that's taken by the Medicare and Medicaid. If you want to get the sum of the percentage, you get the sum here. Remember, we are not paying taxes now for the state. You come here and you say sum, parentheses, from here to here. And you close the parentheses and equal. So without the state, this is how much money you're paying a percentage out of your income that's taken away from you. Let me summarize. This is how much money I made on 30 weeks of employment. That's 30 weeks was Balkan. From January 1st to the middle of August. This is how much money, this is the percentage of taken away from my money by the federal withdrawal. This is the percentage was taken by the Social Security. This is the percentage taken by the Medicare and the Medicaid. And this is the total percentage of all withdrawal. So if you divide this number by 30 weeks, how much money do you think you will get? Let us do that in a different cell. If you wanted to see how much money you make every week, you come here, you say equal, you divide this number by the 30s, about 30 weeks I think, or maybe 31 weeks. This is how much money you make every week average. It might be less than that with Balkan Express. Now we needed to draw the two charts. The first chart is the variation of your weekly pay, but here you have a lot of you have 1 week pay and you have 2 week pays. Let us see how the variation works. You click on that column and you say insert what? Insert a chart, and you choose the chart scatter plot, and that is how you are going to clean that later on. You can clean it from here. You needed that to be number 2 from row number 2, and you need that to be row number 21. That is a column. Click it to look decent. You can now say the title of the chart is net pay. The x-axis is the date. The y-axis is the pay for now. And you can say, okay, we are going to clean it later. You want it to be, we are going to say just a chart, just to finish it. So we can clean it here. We can just have a look at it here. This is, don't be fooled because the numbers here, this 2000 is 2 weeks, not 1 week. Before we insert, we are going to make insert worksheet. We are going to call that so we need to insert again chart. Now here is the chart for the gross weekly pay until March 25th. From this period, this is weekly, and from here, and this is bi-weekly, and this is how much we made from this period every 2 weeks. So that is why you see a lot of rise here. This is rising up, but this is going down. This is lower than that. The reason is not because we are not making much money, because the company changes the way it pays us. Because you don't have liquid cash, so they have to make you wait for 2 weeks to get your money. What is the maximum I made in 2 weeks? That is the maximum in that date. Click on it. It is June 2nd, 2016. I made $2,000 and $23 in 2 weeks. This is, if you look at the chart right here, this is the amount, the maximum I was able to make in 2 weeks. In 1 week, everything goes under that level. In 1 week, the maximum I made was that much, $1,139 in 1 week. This is a chart for the gross weekly and bi-weekly pay. Let us go to the chart of gross year-to-date income. The year-to-date income from January 1st, 2016 to August 2016 increased from the maximum I was able to make with this company is that much. That is August 25th, I made $26,000 and $709 in that period as we calculated before.